The Universal Arcade Stick F500 Elite from Mayflash. We're finally taking a look at this. This did recently release, and it is an upgraded version of their previous F500. The Elite means, hey, this little fella comes with Sanwa parts, so all Sanwa buttons and a Sanwa joystick. Pretty cool stuff. So when I bought this, it was $105. Now I see them hovering around $120 with the non-Elite version going for anywhere between 80 to 85 bucks. So they're the same stick, essentially, just that this one has the Sanwa parts. If you want to save some money and you already have Sanwa components or Saimitsu, whatever you want to put in the thing, I would definitely recommend just going with the normal F500 if this is something you're interested in. Now, why was I interested in this? Well, mostly it was because of the universal aspect of it and it having the Sanwa parts, even though I do have Sanwa buttons. But this thing works for the PS4, the PS3, the Xbox One, the 360, PC, Android, Nintendo Switch, Neo Geo Mini, and plenty more. So that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was fairly universal, and I have all these systems, plus, Raspberry Pis, so on and so forth, that this will work with. That's why I was really interested, and I thought the price was pretty good. So a lot of people have pointed out, hey, this looks just like the 8BitDo NES 30 arcade stick, and there's no denying that it looks very similar. But no, this version, the F500, either the original or the Elite, it's not the same stick. I will show a comparison in a moment. It's essentially the same design. A lot of these companies are using the same design, but this stick is a little bit bigger. So like I said, we'll take a look at that in a moment. But it does not go without saying that there are pros and cons to this. And while I do really enjoy this stick, it wouldn't be fair not to go over some of the issues that I have noticed or things that are worth noting. So let's take a look at the box before we take a look at the stick. But there we go. Just advertises, hey, this works for pretty much everything. Nothing on the top. Same nonsense on the side. And then the back of the box just lists a little bit more information, what systems it's compatible with, the buttons, all that good stuff. Goes over a little bit more information here. One of the biggest things that we're going to talk about in a moment is right here where it says, for best results, it's recommended that you use genuine Xbox or PlayStation controllers and quality certified USB cables. So some people might be thrown off by that, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But let's go ahead and get the stick out and show you what this comes with. So included in the box is the F500 Elite. A little instruction manual that's actually fairly useful. A USB-C to USB adapter, which will be useful to use this on your Neo Geo Mini. That's what this is for. Or if you have your Nintendo Switch undocked, you could use this to connect this as well. This is not a wireless controller. And then it does come with the USB to USB Mini or whatever cable that you will be using with PS4 or Xbox 360 controller, which we're going to talk about in a second. But as you see, I do have a Samurai Shodown custom artwork on here, which was one of the biggest reasons I wanted this stick, was because Samurai Shodown, the new version, was coming out, and I didn't have a stick that I felt was going to be good for the game. So that's why I went ahead and bought this stick, got this custom artwork done from Focus Attack. Very simple process to put that in, but it is a little time consuming. There are 6 screws on the back that need to be taken off to get this metal plate off. And then once you're inside, in order to access the plexi that's on the top here, which is held in place with these magnets, like this thing's not exactly screwed in. Sure, the buttons do hold it in, but it has these magnets to kind of keep it in place in the corners. But once you have it open, you have to remove the buttons, the ball top from the stick, which I did put a chrome ball top on mine, to be able to access that plexi and get the new artwork in. So yeah, you're going to have to pay attention to how the buttons are wired, that kind of thing, to ensure that you rewire them properly if you go ahead and remove them. Because the basic artwork it comes with is this real crappy sleeve. Mine was kind of like wavy and just, it looked like crap underneath that plexi, just being honest with you. It does the job. as far as just being a basic looking stick, but definitely some people are going to want to go ahead and get some custom artwork on this thing. Like I said, Focus Tech, they have the templates. You can design your own. As you see, I did the Samurai Showdown artwork and I got the buttons laid out on here just for PS4 and Nintendo Switch. I really didn't want to have a bunch of buttons listed here. I just wanted the main ones I'm going to use. And I'm mainly going to use this for the PS4 and Switch. So that's why I just went with those two layouts listed on there. You don't even have to have the buttons printed on there. You could just leave it blank if you just know how everything's going to work. I just like to have that as a little reminder for certain things. But there you go. So we'll take a look at the manual in a second. But to get it out of the way, I do want to show you side by side with the 8BitDo NES 30. And as you see, there's definitely a lot that is similar the way it's laid out, where the start button is, where all the little mode buttons are, the little front panel, which on the 8BitDo does nothing. But on this, we do have a few things there we'll take a look at in a second. Whereas this, you have to connect the USB in the back to whatever device. But this is also Bluetooth, but some people, they're not going to want to use this, wirelessly. Some people, it's not going to matter. Competitively, people will more than likely want to have it wired. Whereas this stick is just completely wired. No wireless option. But taking a look, close-up look, we do have on the front a few things for a microphone, headset, mute, that kind of thing. If you're playing some online gaming. On the back, we do have a USB port, which that's the one thing we're going to talk about in a second. And then on the side, we do have a compartment for our USB cable to plug into our system. So this back part, this back port, if you're using this on, an Xbox or PS4, in order for it to sync to your system properly, you do have to plug in a controller. That's going to be a con for some people, because it just does not work without that. They do give you the USB cable to plug into this, plug into your PlayStation controller, and it syncs up just fine. It works, but there is kind of an added cost here if you don't want to go about it that way. So they do have these little Magic Boot adapters that essentially replace having to plug in a PlayStation or an Xbox controller. But these things are not universal. You have to get one for each system if you want to use it. For me, I just bought it for the PS4 because for the Switch, it doesn't need anything. It just plugs into the Switch and works just fine. But this would plug into the back. And it does have a little button you would press to sync it. So the PlayStation thinks that this is a control, this is the whole, this is a PS4 controller. That's all it essentially does, is let your system know that this is an actual PS4 controller. I guess I kind of understand why they had to do it that way, where you would have to interface a controller to it to make it work properly. Because otherwise, for the low price, I consider it a low price for how much they're charging for this thing. If it was to be universal, just plug and play with everything without having to attach a controller, I would see the price being significantly more. But that's going to be a con for some people, because you're going to have this plugged in or buy one of those Magic Boot adapters. And these Magic Boot adapters, depending upon what system you want them for, they go for anywhere between $15 to $25. The PS4 one, I believe I spent $20, $22, something like that. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to eat that cost and do it because this thing works for what I want to use it for. Now, taking a look at the manual real quick, just, it tells you some of the features and all that. But the good thing is it does list for each system how to go about syncing it to your system, how to, make sure everything works. You'll have the X input, controller, PS3, SNK input right there. Over here, left stick, directional pad, right stick. And then you do have turbo functionality, turbo 1, turbo 2. You can turn it on. But this does have pretty much everything you need up here. The share view, select button, home button, PlayStation button, all that good stuff. There is an LED indicator up here on the top that I don't have a cutout for, but it does shine through on this artwork, where the LED indicator is going to indicate what mode you're in. Green for X input or Xbox 360, blue for PS3, red for Switch, purple for Android, white for Xbox One, yellow for Neo Geo Mini, or blue or red for PS4 mode, blue for player 1, red for player 2. So far, I really do dig this controller. I've used it quite a bit playing the new Samurai Showdown, playing Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5 on my PS4, playing a handful of fighting games, beat 'em up games on my Nintendo Switch. Everything feels good. Nothing wrong with the wiring. The buttons are great. Everything is high quality. No real complaints on my side. I feel like the price was right for what I paid for this thing. The additional cost of the $20 or so for the Magic Boot adapter for the PS4 was just sheer convenience. It's not a cost you have to spend. You can just plug in your controller and be good to go with that. But like I said, that could be a big con for people. Now, the only other con that I really have, besides, you know, the kind of nitpicky things, like I said, the original artwork that it comes with is just garbage. It looks cheap underneath the plexiglass. But then my only other con comes in is with the plexiglass. So it's kind of hard to show, but it does move slightly. And it's if you're really into it, playing a game and you have your palm rested on here, you will feel the plexiglass move very minimally, but it does move and it's noticeable. You know, all my buttons are clicked into place. Everything is screwed in. But with this plexiglass really not connecting to anything other than just the buttons are holding it in, and there's going to be a little bit of space around the edges, there's nothing to stop it from sliding slightly. If this was pegged in somehow, it would minimize that. But then the thing too is with plexiglass, you do have to be careful with cracking. So maybe this is one of the better solutions. I'm not sure. I've had other arcade sticks that went about it where it just screwed in the plexi and I never had issues with cracking or anything like that. But for me, out of everything, the additional cost of the Magic Boot, you know, having to take it apart, I mean, really not big cons for me. But the main thing that bothers me is that plexiglass moving slightly. But other than that, I'm extremely happy with this stick. I know there are tons of other options out there, but for me, this is the one that I was extremely excited about to customize it, to get it for what I feel is a fair price, and to be able to use it for a ton of systems was pretty darn sweet. So I'm definitely happy with it. If you're interested in grabbing one of these, I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put a link to where they have the templates to do the custom artwork for this and for the Magic Boots, all that good stuff if you want to check it out. I definitely recommend it, but like I said, I know there's other options out there, and some people do have their preferences. This is my first Mayflash, and I'm very happy with this. So hey, really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You mean the world to me. You know it. You really do. So with that said, I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Bye-bye. And boom. Thumbs up. Boom.